Top of the morning to ya! Hello everyone, my name is David Hart.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game. This is the intro song, the song intros. This is how I introduce my intros. Intro. It's about damn time. Finally! I thought this game would never come out. I thought it was just another Host Club Season 2. It was never gonna happen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 8 years ago, I don't know if I should call this thing a trailer, it was more like a showcase or a teaser, but whatever. Anyways, 8 years ago, I saw a video that showed a game that looked way ahead of its time. And little kid me was stoked. This trailer looks so cool with the futuristic, fantasy-esque themes that it was putting out. And even though it was like really fantasy-like, it looked so realistic. It looks like around this time, it was around 2012, so you know how people are like, Back to the Future and all this, and there's gonna be virtual reality like the Matrix. It looked like something you would see in the Matrix. It looked amazing. I thought a game like that could only exist in the future. And I was kind of right, but we're not going to talk about that part. For those of you that haven't really been on the internet during a pandemic, first of all, I applaud you. I bet you probably did something productive over these past few months, like learning a new skill, like a language, or something. I don't know. But not me, since I no longer need to interact with other breathing humans to not be seen as a psychopath. I let the internet consume me. I embrace the darkness with open arms! Fanfictions galore! I have reached my true potential of hermit! Who needs sleep when you have sleepy waifus? Woo! I am forever darkness! There's a reason why I'm excited for Cyberpunk 2077. And that's all because of a certain little failure that crushed my heart. The Fallout franchise still are good games, with their best game being Fallout 4. I love this game. I love everything about it. The lore, art, community, everything. So when Fallout 76 was announced, I thought this game would be a better version of the game I know and love. Long story short, it wasn't. I know Cyberpunk is not, by any means, a part of the Fallout universe. I'm just saying that with how similar these games are, Cyberpunk 2077 could be the next generation's Fallout. But wait a minute, you say. These games are nothing alike. Cyberpunk is in the future, with robots and other futuristic weapons in a dystopian setting where people in higher power are trying to bend the world to their liking. Fallout is a post-apocalyptic setting where you roam an open world that has old-timey vibes of old cars, music, and you get to build relationships with NPCs, and yeah, you see what I'm getting at here? Okay. I know some of those were cheap shots because the NPC thing describes most games nowadays, but there are two very important reasons why I'm saying 77 is going to be the new Fallout 4. Theme and community. These topics are the things that bind these two games together. Let me explain. For as long as I can remember, the end of the world and its aftermath has been a hot topic to talk about. This trope was beaten to death by the zombie apocalypse genre. So why do we still crave it? Well, a lot of people still believe that the world is going to go down one way or another. And to cope with this impending doom, they indulge or express themselves through the arts, like movies or books or drawings of their own. It's a coping mechanism. At this point, we all kind of know what we're going to do in the apocalypse because we thought about it so many times. What will we do when the world ends is not really a question a lot of people think about. I mean, like, they still do, but it's more like we're desensitized to it. So when people are desensitized, they tend to change things up to keep them on their toes. So now a new question is popping up. What will we do if the world doesn't end? What if the world keeps on going in the way that it's going? With its corrupted politicians, the technological advancements, warped ideas of capitalism, what then? That's the base idea of the dystopian future. Dystopian and a post-apocalyptic may have different meanings, but they're two sides of the same coin. Dystopian futures don't always have to be post-apocalyptic, but post-apocalyptic are usually dystopian futures. There's a lot of signs that these two games are two sides of the same coin. Similar themes could be seen everywhere in these games, including the color palettes. The main color palette in Fallout 4 are usually greenish grays, browns, and other dark diluted colors. The best way to describe this color palette is grimy, old, and destroyed. Cyberpunk 2077's main color themes are bright colors. They look shiny and new. It's complete opposite from each other. Even though Fallout's colors are a little grim, you can see a glimpse of bright color in the Nuka-Cola reds, or the bright Vault-Tec blues and yellows, along with the cartoonish Pip-Boy and its little cartoons that make you laugh and giggle. This could be a wink and a nod towards the hopeful future that they had. It reminds you that not everything was bad, even if it's just a faint memory. Even with all the grimy, dark colors in Fallout 4, you still got to see that there's still a happy tone in the wasteland. Hope. 77 may be all about bright colors, but bright colors can be deceiving. It appears to be like the ultimate future, the future that we're all striving to become. But 77 is what you would call a worm cake. Pretty on the outside with the icing all nicely done, makes your mouth water a little bit. But once you scrape off that icing, it's all worm. Disgusting. The game's not disgusting. The game's cool, but like, it's not what people thought the future would be. Or at least in the past. We all know the world's ending. The impending doom rises! No! Yes, Cyberpunk's colors are bright colors, but they're neon colors. Now, neons are like the rebel bright color, because even though they're bright like other happy colors, they don't mean the same thing. Neon colors are most often associated with raves, clubs, graffiti, the more controversial topics. So in a way, they can represent rebellion, underground stuff, things like that. Which on its own could mean that there's other things behind the surface. But on top of that, one of the main colors that you see throughout the promotions of Cyberpunk 77 is yellow. Now, yellow has a lot of meanings. It can mean happiness, friendship, but also betrayal and caution. I think by pairing yellow with the other rebel neon colors, yellow could be seen as a warning. It's warning us that not everything is what it seems. Not everything that glitters is gold. So they're all flip-flop. Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout 4 are flip-flopped in themes, but still the same. One's grimy, but one's shiny. One's shiny, but always grimy. What's the point of me telling you this? The color schemes of these games complement each other so well, they will attract similar people that would play their games. This brings up our next topic, community. In my opinion, this is one of the most important parts of a good game. A game could be the best thing ever. A game could have the best graphics, the best lore, but without a community, nobody would care. If anything, the game, if the game starts trending on Twitter or like YouTube or something, maybe like a Markiplier plays it in like one of his 3 scary games or something, it may be a one-hit wonder. Like, it'll be popular for a couple of weeks and then it'll die down. Because it had no real community. It just had hype. There would be no real community. There would just be hype for the game. And hype dies down eventually. Communities, they hold on to whatever they are given. And they will not let go. We're freaking Gollum. And the game, or whatever it is that the community's obsessed over, is the precious ring. We're not giving that ish up. We will dive into that volcano just to be with it. With communities, there is land for people to build something bigger than what the thing actually was. That's why Fallout 4, even though it was released in 2015, is still kicking today. And Five Nights at Freddy's grew into a whole universe instead of just a cheap jump scare video game. It takes certain steps to build a good community. First, there needs to obviously be something to grab the person's interest. It could be like the aesthetic. It could even be luck of like a popular YouTube channel playing it online, and then people just want to play it because their favorite YouTuber played it. They could even hate the game, and the people are like, oh, it sucks so bad, I want to see how bad it sucked for myself. A hate community is still a community, not a strong one, and it'll probably die out because it doesn't have a strong structure to stand on. But it's still a community, and it's better than nothing. In this case, Fallout 4 and Cyberpunk 2077 are playing on 2 of their strengths. They're already loyal fans, because let's be honest, they both got really loyal fans. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Cyberpunk 2077's fans are the most patient and dedicated fans I have seen in a while. Like, These people have been waiting for almost a decade for more than just that teaser trailer. They got a teaser trailer. It wasn't even a full trailer. And they're like, I am satisfied with this. I will stick to this forever. That's dedication, man. I applaud everyone that like stuck with it. Cause I'm gonna be honest, I got distracted with other games and like the games I was already in, like Fallout and Oxygen Not Included, Minecraft. Whatever, I'm getting off topic. Fallout 4 already had a community before Fallout 4 came out. Like, it's the 4th game. Did Fallout New Vegas come out before? I'm just gonna say Fallout 4 because that's 4 in it. I don't know if Fallout New Vegas came out beforehand. And some people even say Fallout New Vegas is better, but I disagree. I will fight everyone on this. Anyway, the next strength that they both played really well to is their aesthetic. If you don't go on Tumblr all the time, or Pinterest, you do not know the true meaning of aesthetic. Post-apocalyptic is also really desired because it's the ruggedness instead of just the proper world that we live in. Cyberpunk is not the game, the subculture. Cyberpunk, the subculture, loves the futuristic themes gone kind of wrong. Like, technology used in different ways. Like, they love the idea of that. So their appeal is already there. People love post-apocalyptic things, even though we get like millions of post-apocalyptic things getting shoved down our throats every single day. We still crave more for some reason. We're like crack addicts. And Cyberpunk is just another iteration of post-apocalyptic, to be honest. I mean, like, yes, there's other like genres within the genre of Cyberpunk, but I think they have similar vibes. And normally, if people like post-apocalyptic stuff, they usually thought about dystopian futures of all the robots taking over, or some type of iteration of sci-fi, horror type of things. So you can see what I'm getting at here. Usually the same people are into both those things. So they got two things that they're playing really well, so they're obviously going to get an audience in the beginning. Now the hardest part is keeping said community. Out of sight, out of mind. That's the thing that a lot of companies forget. Out of sight, out of mind. People eventually have to start peopling. So they usually aren't as online as much, or whatever the case. People have a better time remembering tangible things versus fictional. So how can a person implement a community into their daily life so that they don't forget about it and it's constantly on their mind? One word, merch. Lots of merch. You can isolate yourself a little bit more on the internet than you can in real life. But then when you go into the outer world, you don't see, on the internet, you can see what people like because it's all over their profile. On the internet, it's a lot easier to tell that someone has the same interests as you because they usually put it on their profile or they post fan art or they look up the same stuff as you. So they're on like the same Discord as you or whatever. But in real life, sometimes it's like you're the only person that's into that thing. So merch is kind of like a reminder that you're not alone and the community's got your back. Therefore, making said person stick to the fandom because they get more attached to it. Merch also allows outsiders to join the fandom. Let's say someone walks around and they find a really cute t-shirt and they're like, Nuka-Cola, I thought the brand is Coca-Cola. So they look up Nuka-Cola and now they get to see the fan art that people have made, like the stories that people have made, the DLCs. What the fandom has created, they get to see based on one piece of merch. Fallout 4 played to a lot of its strengths and made sure all their merch was rustic-y and grimy and post-apocalyptic-y, so when people wore it, they looked edgy, and people like edgy. Certain people like edgy. I like edgy. Whatever. 2077 is also playing to its strengths in the merch category. Before the game is even out, I see a ton of merch they're producing. They have gamer chairs, jackets. They're teaming up with energy drinks like Monster. You could see exclusive electronics like phones and Xboxes, headphones. They have everything. Anything you could think of, they merged it. As I write this script, this game is not out yet, but based on their marketing tactics, I could safely assume that they will not be forgotten easily. Just like Fallout, they developed their own style out of already a booming aesthetic, and they made sure the fangirls are fed but not desensitized. Desensitized as in so much merch everywhere that nobody really cares for it anymore. So Cyberpunk is already going to have a loyal following. I mean, like, it already does, but, you know, when the game actually comes out, it's going to have a loyal following. Just like Fallout. And with the loyal fandom, another important part of a community gets formed. Replayability. Replayability is also a huge part of the community. If you play the game, there's only so many times you can play a game if there's not a lot of content to be there. So you there become bored, even though you love the game, you love the community. You just grow bored, and then you just, even with all the merch, it'll just be a distant memory. But if there's always things for you to do, like, let's say people are creating new challenges, like in Fallout, it's like beating the game alone, or even just like what the game provides. Let's say with the different skill trees, people want to keep on replaying the game to see if they can get good skill tree builds. Or like, there's tons of side quests, there's tons of undiscovered land, there's tons of lore that don't even make any sense to the main story, but you want to discover it anyway, so you can flex on those other Fallout 4s. If there's a lot of things to do, not a lot, like, obviously there needs to be structure, but if there's not a dictatorship on the structure, what's the word? If they're not micromanaging the gamer on construction and lets them use their creativity a little bit, that allows space for the community to grow. There's so many things to do in Fallout 4. You could build relationships, you could build towns, there's different guilds that you can join. If you really wanted to, you don't even have to save your son. You could just explore Fallout and make the Fallout world a better place. And from what I could tell, 77 made sure they got all that replayability hours in. I mean, Cyberpunk took so long for it to come out. I mean, a lot of other games tried and failed during this time. Like, we got to see the rise of Sims. We got to see the rise of Battle Royales. Like, so many things have happened in these past 8 years in the gaming community. Indie gaming became more popular. Battle Royales became a thing that people are obsessed with now. The gaming competition scene, the competitive gaming esports scene, is bigger than ever. Sandboxing is now a common term that people expect from a lot of games now. Like, Cyberpunk got to marinate in all this new information, and from what I could tell, was able to formulate a constructed universe that has all the customizations and roleplays features that we wanted. I mean, 77 tried to have some of those good concepts. We wanted more customizations and more cause and effect, like in our world, to make it more realistic, to be more immersive. So Fallout 76 made a skill tree that was affected by radiation, like the mutation skill tree. Like, yes, the mutations were nice to have, but they also had consequences. Like, let's say you got a bigger brain, you got more intelligence, but now you take more damage, or... I don't remember the skill trees. The game sucked. That's all I gotta say. But it had good concepts. Cyberpunk did the same thing with cybernetics. Yes, you get more robot parts, but that also means you lose a bit of your humanity. And you're more vulnerable to hackers and such. The reason why Fallout 4 was such a revolutionary game is the fact that it was so customizable, so open world, that it was completely immersive. It felt like you were just living a life in a post-apocalyptic world. Cyberpunk 2077 did the exact same thing, but better. It took all the games that came before it, took the best parts of each of them, and learned from them. Cyberpunk 2077 did the exact same thing that Fallout did. It learned from its predecessors, and it grew stronger. It developed a community that I feel will stay for a very long time. It already has been here for a very long time, but it's gonna stay for longer. So you see, 76 tried to do the same things that 77 did, but it ignored all the parts that we hated, and it did it anyway. Cyberpunk did things that 76 could only dream of. This game coming out is the Midoriya to the All Might. This is the redemption arc to Fallout. This is the content we need. I don't have to just keep slaving away at my village. But who knows? I guess we'll have to see. If you made it this far, I assume that you liked the video, and it will mean a lot to me if you were to subscribe, ring that bell, and like the video and share it with your friends. Also, comment. Do you agree with this idea that I made? I'm curious. I want to know if I was doing my 3 in the morning rants or not.